Shalom and welcome with Bindronovsky. No prophetic word this week, but a message. Now the title might sound a little bit too heavy for the small ingredient I add here now to the soup where the frog gets boiled. And indeed, what I bring here appears just also a small aspect. But maybe it is something bigger. At the end you can decide. Actually, I thought to make a message about the Olympic Games in Paris that will start these days. But I'm surely not watching any of it. The latest European Soccer Cup, if a friend would not have told me about, I wouldn't know. And still don't know and not interested in who made the first place. Until I'm able to upload this message, the Olympic Games might be already running. But I thought, even a while ago already, first of all, the opening ceremony was surely full with occult symbolism. And then I thought, what would be if the runner of the Olympic fire will drop suddenly dead, for unknown reason of course, caused by the well-known injection, and then the flame goes out. Maybe a sign, perhaps the last games. It's over, except the man of sin wants some of his own self-presentation game. So now to the subject. For a couple of weeks I have been talking back and forth with a brother who lives in a different country. So we communicate via email. I don't have socialist media, I'm sorry. If I might offend you when I say, like I said to someone who was asking me to share information on Facebook, and I said, I don't have that. Facebook is only for idiots. You may imagine the face impression when you say something like that to someone straight into the other's face. But because right from the beginning or introduction of the Big Brother surveillance stuff, I knew it has nothing to do with social life, but make the people addicted to that technology and system and to share voluntarily every part of their lives. Yeah, I share also things on internet or here on this, but not everything. There are things I will never share. But who reads the term and conditions in the small print of these socialist media stuff? Back to the subject. So we spoke about old versus modern cars. My first car was actually built in 1973, not the most economic one, 90 horsepower, but I could fix everything by myself. No need to pay an expensive garage, but simple technology with a carburetor engine and in pretty good condition, hardly any rust. And after time and with other cars and some lemons that I owned, I became really good in fixing that stuff. So one day a friend asked me to replace his clutch on his car. He bought the spare parts at an Alfa Romeo garage. And then one day, as he was back in the garage for something else, they asked him how long it took me to replace the clutch. After his answer, they asked him right away if he wanted to start working for them, because I was able to do it faster than any one of them ever. And this even without the luxury of a lift and whatever they have, so in a professional garage. But I rejected the offer simply because I don't like to have permanent oily hands. Every now and then, for my own vehicles or a few good friends to repair the cars, it was okay, but no way as a full-time job. However, the other brother, who loves also old vehicles, he still owns a very old vehicle. But once he had a Mazda from 2012, which is somehow old, as we are already in 2024, but still I would count it as a modern car. So this vehicle, this Mazda, needed the spark plugs to be replaced. Not as often as my boat, but he used to know how to repair cars, or at least the most basic things, but was not able to accomplish that on the Mazda, and he even could not find the spark plugs where they are. Possibly buried somewhere beneath all the plastic covers. So I opened a couple of times the hood of modern cars, and all I could see is only a number of plastic covers where you would possibly need often special tools to remove them. I don't know for sure, but in old cars you could see what is what and everything easy and simple. So finally this brother had to bring his Mazda into a garage, and it costed $400 instead $20 for the new spark plugs. Long story short, this brother is a watchman and I count myself as a seer, so both with some giftings in the prophetic. And one sentence in our conversation was actually interesting. we came to the conclusion in the back and forth, we can drive old cars, but modern cars drive us. Yes, we know there is this development in self-driving vehicles and so on, but that's not a focus. I just get a point of sitting in a car and driving yourself, but point out to all the electronic of modern cars that help or doesn't help to drive. Yes, some people are definitely not gifted to drive, like a neighbor I had, where all the people in the village could never understand how he was able to make it back and forth to work for 25 years without a single accident. He could hardly get out of the garage, but he made it. However, in the years I drove, I always wanted to feel the car and the road, and of course occasionally play with it, if you know what I mean by that. With modern cars, you can't do that anymore, as the electronic don't allow that. I remember, I think it was a Mercedes, where I wanted to play a little bit in the snow, but it was simply impossible. Or another incident of a van from a friend, where the brakes were extremely rusty, and I thought by pressing the throttle and moderately the brakes at the same time, it will scrub off the rust from the discs. But the electronic said no. You're not allowed to do that, and reduced the power of the engine, as it realized that I might do something wrong, or I did something that I shouldn't do. So I was not able to do that. It was just super silly. Anyway, after we shared how modern cars drives us, I dropped into an article with the title, "New cars will now reduce your engine power if you are over speeding." So the link to the article is on my website in the transcript. And what are the details? No, it's not conspiracy. It's a law of the EU, the Evil Union implemented, and it's already active. So since July 7th of 2024, all new cars sold must include intelligent speed assistance. Intelligent? ISA systems, which automatically limit vehicle speed to match legal limits using GPS and cameras. As I don't watch any news, maybe you can tell me if it was introduced with pomp and fanfares. I assume it was not mentioned big in the news at all, or perhaps the minimum, a small side note, just suddenly a new law active, as happens all the time. I would not wonder, and very likely only a matter of time when they will force to install it in old vehicles to update, at least in the Evil Union. Which means in most cars it will be more or less impossible. So it will give the people a choice between having no car or invest in a new one. Oh yeah, the bank will surely help you with that. All the old cars might go to Africa or South America, or perhaps some of the Middle East or Asia, since their pollution surely will not enter our European soil because there are signs in the sky, pollution, stay outside. So there's more in the article of what I mentioned, but don't want to make it too long. It's already very long. Just highlight a few things and add my humble opinion. Maybe there are better articles than that one, but what I dropped into, so let's keep going. It says ISA can be temporarily overridden. How that works, whether it will be easy or difficult, might depend on your car brand, how they achieve it. But I believe this is just a matter of time when the system cannot be overridden anymore. It's like the most ideas of these bureaucrats. In big words, with media pomp, they announce stuff, they implement, and it's only voluntarily or partially mandatory or recommended. But once it becomes 100% compulsory after a short while, you won't find any information about it on the front page from the propaganda liars, except maybe the next pandemic when there will be new injections available. The article speaks about benefits. Less accidents might be true or halfway true or maybe not at all, but definitely not as many as the WHO claims. You heard it right, WHO. Yes, the same who wants world control, who are in bed with pharma mafia and money laundering, also spread their theory here in the automobile world. Isn't it interesting? So not surprising to me. I can't remember who made this statement, but possibly you know the saying, I only believe the statistics I manipulated myself. Guess that explains it all. You only need to write some artificial numbers. No one can prove that anyway, and have support by the propaganda machinery, and there we go. They think it has financial benefits, because faster driving consumes more fuel and less emissions, blah blah blah. Make a test and drive 20 miles per hour and the other test 60 miles per hour, both with the same car, and see what speed consumes more fuel. Now, just a somehow funny, a practical example of real life. I was once driving with a few people from one place to another, a longer distance of roughly 40 kilometers. What's this? Is 28 miles or so. And we said, let's see what happens if we keep exactly all speed limits that's as written on signs. So in one section, there was a construction site with a 30 kilometers per hour speed limit, lasting for a couple of kilometers. It was late evening on a Sunday, so no people working there. But at the end, I don't know how many cars were behind us, but a very long row, as they could not pass. I think most of them, or many of them, were boiling of anger. And then as it turned back to no limit, basically 100 kilometers an hour in the countryside, and we were speeding up quickly. So the people behind were possibly smoking the more of anger, as they still could not pass us in the slightly winding road. Just imagine how many more traffic jams it will cause with this new anti-speed law. And by this, the fuel consumption and emission will definitely not be less, but much more. I'm not driving any motorized vehicles anymore since years, but I remember the days when there was a free Autobahn in Germany. Actually, I think only 3% are still truly unlimited. If you think they're all unlimited, that's disinformation. It's not. There's only a small percentage. But just imagine you drive on a motorway and there is a sign that says it's 120 kilometers per hour limit. Yet the first number washed away or hidden by some plants, and the camera of the car reads 20 kilometers an hour. And after a while, the engine reduces the power and you snail along with 20 kilometers per hour for a while. Okay, it says GPS also gives information, and you may think it will recognize it's not 20 kilometers per hour, but perhaps it recognizes the farm track beside and think you are driving on that. So it keeps you slow. And how many more accidents will that cause? And I'm not counting the defects on the sensor and cameras, or when the cameras got covered with dirt and constantly bringing false information. Here we have the financial benefits. More repairs. The benefits for the automobile industry. Who will be responsible when an accident happens because of this silly system? Surely not those who implemented the law or the EU. They're always immune against all wickedness, all their own wickedness, at least in this world. Surely they will hand it over to the driver, saying he has to be responsible for the full functionality of the ISA, or if the GPS runs havoc. Of course, every driver is a programmer of car software and knows immediately when there's an error and what it is, and can fix it right away, or even before it happens. Or you are in the way overturning one or several slow-moving vehicles, and in the middle somewhere the system decides end of temporary and reduces your speed. That's not fun, I think. I got once a puncture while passing several cars on a motorway at a speed of 150 kilometers an hour, and that was not fun either. But there, funny and true, another example, another experience. The best sign I think I saw was many years ago, somewhere in Italy on a mountain road. There it was written before a curve, 80 kilometers an hour limit. And when I passed it, I thought, if I drive here with 80, I definitely will not remain on the road. Even a good Ferrari or Porsche might even struggle with that. And I think you won't find many Formula 1 cars on public roads, where I know they surely can make it without problems. And it is known some speed limits are simply not logical, or better say, some only exist for the purpose to place cameras to gain money from speed tickets, when in other dangerous areas you won't find any speed signs, and some others such as silly nonsense. At the end, it's another law upon a complete faulty system. Well, more financial benefits, but for the law enforcers, by more regulations and its following penalties. And actually this law goes back to 2019 when the European Parliament agreed to mandate ISA technology to fight, supposedly excessive traffic collisions and injuries on the road of the Roman Empire. So here we have it, mandate. So the car manufacturers surely already knew this law will be coming for certain, as they have to implement it in their vehicle software and possibly also some more additional hardware, and some cars still don't have enough cameras. And of course the European puppets have to agree with their players what their players are telling them. On purpose they name it excessive traffic collisions. And because it gives the implication like everyone is driving with a brick stone on the throttle, and that's why it caused so many accidents. And so the communist governments have to step in with another law to supposedly, quotes, protect their own citizens. The European Transport Safety Council believed the ISA may cut traffic crashes by 30% and injuries by 20%. And their final goal is to eliminate road death by 2050. Beep, 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 beep. You could laugh if it would not be so serious, so seriously sad, because the ones who want to kill the majority of the population talk about eliminating road death is the pinnacle of hypocrisy. It is the same if you ask a frog to drain his swamp. Anyway, 2015, I think when Yeshua heard this, he was rolling on the floor from laughter, possibly by then already in a millennial reign. But when you read the sustainable goals of the world psychopaths, you also realize by then there exists anyway no private transportation anymore, and not many people at all. But that's another can of worms. Together, just a big joke anyway. However, reducing traffic crashes by 30% with an overspeeding limiter, whoever believes this trash believes everything the lamestream liars telling them. Yes, there are some brainless people out there who are driving like idiots, but you can't tame them with technology. They found a way around. Next might be automatic brakes that might stop you very harsh at traffic lights or in whatever situation. That might erase some accidents, yes, but I am certain it will cause many more. And automatic distance sensors will be the perfect traffic jammer. We'll have a brain crash. Just lately, I had almost an accident. I was on my bicycle passing a parking car. Just as I was beside the car, then he started to turn off and turned left. And I was not able to escape further to the left. So the constellation drove me towards the car, and possibly someone prayed that he would stop his car, which he did. I could already feel the hard surface on the car on my skin, on my right leg. And in the end, to avoid falling, I had to turn sharp right just in front of the car and jumped on the sidewalk. I think it was not more than 3 millimeters space to end up on the asphalt. And then perhaps I would not write this message. My speed was probably only about 10 or 12 kilometers an hour, and his speed was perhaps 2 or 3 kilometers an hour. Maybe this is still too fast for the EU bureaucrats. To the end of the article, they come up with a question if drivers want intelligent speed assistance. And again, as with all statistics or polls, you can get the result you want either by choosing whom you ask or by the way the questions are worded. Many years ago, I remember this driving instructor with the same name and age like me in the neighbor village where I grew up. So a friend of mine attended somehow a theory lessons, maybe to pick up his daughter or for whatever purpose. Anyway, the instructor asked the young students of how traffic would be if the people would keep all the laws. And all of them said, oh, that would be wonderful. Everything would run perfectly and fine and great and so on. Then the driving teacher said, Well, sorry to say and to offend you, but you all err. No, nothing would work. Even alone keeping the speed limits will create so many traffic jams. With a pair of hiking boots, you might be faster. Or in other words, he was saying, without saying it, as soon as you have the license, forget what you have learned and drive at traffic goes. And if you want to keep additionally all the other laws 100%, you're lucky to make it out of the garage or your parking spot. And if you truly desire to drive, better stay in your own property and be careful. But don't try it on public roads, because the moment you go on public roads, you break the law. Well, back to the speed assistance. What's the purpose? Less accidents? Forget it. Less traffic jams? Not at all. Less fuel consumption? I assume the other way around, or a good amount more. Less pollution? Well, that goes hand in hand with the increased fuel consumption. But no, the only reason for this is to control the people by controlling their vehicles. I'm old enough to realize the last couple of decades, slowly but surely, more and more laws implemented to restrict our lives and to control. You see all the towers and cameras everywhere that popped up like mushrooms in a damp forest. Communism anyway believes ordinary people are too stupid to manage their own lives. So that's why they want to control every aspect of our lives, including the final goal of the globalists, the elites, or however you label these psychopaths and megalomaniacs, to control the entire world, which of course will fail. ISA, Intelligent Speed Assistance, is just a small step, but an important milestone into 1984. I think we already passed it. But never mind, all of it leads into the fulfillment of prophecies in scripture. But just consider, let a strong AMP happen and you won't see any modern cars driving around. Not anymore. Or havoc in the GPS system, and then watch how traffic will turn out. Many young people don't even know how to get anywhere or even home without a GPS anymore. May you heard about the old Beetle, in German named the Volkswagen Käfer? The only electric was the ignition to start engine, the horn, the lights and the fan trying to heat it in winter. If you had a Beetle, you know how the heating was in winter. It was not the most comfortable vehicle, but the very old Beetle runs on everything that burns. I know it from relatives in Austria. They had or still have the old Beetle, some 70 or 80 years old, called the Brezelkäfer. And they confirmed it works. The one Beetle my sister had, it was from the 70s, 60s or 70s, but that type was possibly too modern and not able to run on alcohol or other burning stuff like thinner anymore. In America, I guess, it would run on whiskey, in Russia on vodka, in Southeast Europe, Slivovitz, and Ouzo in Greece. And you can fill the blanks, only wine, beer and stuff like that won't be strong enough to burn. Except it might burn in the heads of those people the day after they drank too much of it. Okay, that's a bit expensive and the performance is not as great as with gasoline, but it works in emergency, whether you believe it or not. If not, make a test, buy an old Brezelkäfer and then check it for yourself. Though in most old cars you don't need speed limiters, because they were usually not very fast at all. I had once a truck, 130 horsepower and 14 tons with a trailer. I can tell you that didn't feel like a Porsche. However, there is a difference between total control and total control. And control of your cars. Yeshua is in control of everything, and the devil wants to have total control of everything, but only for the purpose to steal, kill and destroy. But completely different, these two. Yeshua's control is pure perfect love, to draw as many as possible people to eternal life. The control of the devil is out of pure hate against everything and wants every human to be dead and in his territory. So he has deceived many people so they believe the lie of total control with or from government as something good. He also has deceived the people to think democracy is something good or democracy exists when actually it doesn't truly exist at all. One day, if the rulers and those who have been deceived don't repent, they will realize to follow the father of all lies was not a good idea. Because For all eternity, they will be controlled by unbearable pain. If they like it or not, believe it or not, that's how it will be. So I might not drive a car anymore, and I'm fine with it. I own nothing in the form of motorized vehicle, no electric, no combustion engine or whatever engine. And I'm truly very happy with that, honestly. Own nothing. Yes, I have limitations with transportation, but it does not change the joy of my salvation. And so I also don't need to consider having a speed limiter, or in the bureaucratic double-tongue wording, an intelligent speed assistant. The day will come when we will fly home. I have no clue when and how fast our eternal flight will be. The one-way ticket, whether 10, 100, 1,000 or million miles per hour, but no human law will be able to stop it nor limit the speed, neither technology. We ourselves are only able to stop it, whether by our ignorance or unrepentance lives or hearts. Personally, I wish it will be as fast as possible and as sooner than soon. Okay, I would love to finish my book before, but if the flight home will be sooner, I will not complain. We may not be able to choose to drive a car soon with or without ISA. We might not be able to choose how the next government will play the show for another term or season, but we can choose if we want eternal control by Yeshua or Hasatan. I will choose Yeshua, because with him I have nothing to lose. And though he is in control, he will not control us the same way as we are controlled by the world system, or by the matrix, so to say. So I could go on and on about that, but enough now with this worldly rubbish that will anyway pass away. Until the next time here on this channel or in the air, be mightily blessed and Adonai be with you. Shalom, shalom.